a win in St. Louis, the surprising Detroit Red Wings went home to wear the white jerseys. Knee and ankle problems aside, defenseman Steve Chiasson fired 5 times and hit the net on 3 to spark 2 Detroit wins. The Blues' spectacular regular season was in danger of paling next to playoff frustration. An 86-goal scorer in regular season continued to be dangerous. 2 third-period goals by Brett Hull in Game 4 put the Red Wings to the wall. But again, Tim Cheveldae held. He and his teammates celebrated again, leading the series 3-1. Tonight in St. Louis, Detroit can finish the job. Game 5, the Red Wings, the Blues, on Sports Channel. Cold, dreary, rainy day in St. Louis. Tonight, the atmosphere, optimistic, but with a shroud of a question mark for these fans here at the arena. They want to come back again for a Game 7. Good evening, everyone. Along with Bill Clement, I'm Mike Emmerich. Will they come back for a Game 7? That is a question, but another question, too, posed for the Detroit Red Wings. In the last 2 years, they were eliminated from the playoffs in '89 in the first round. They didn't make the playoffs last season. This becomes, I think, their toughest game tonight because the Blues and Brian Sutter are not going to go quietly. This will be a hard game for Detroit.
It will, but it's incredible to me the 90-degree turns in opposite directions that these two teams have taken in the last week. Let's face it, Detroit now is in the position to say, I told you guys, we were good enough to beat St. Louis all along. The St. Louis Blues, on the other hand, a team that had no weaknesses in any facet of their game during the regular season, are taking on water now just about everywhere. They've got about 3.5 hours to stop the leakage. Otherwise, they'll all be golfing tomorrow. And you have to ask yourself why. Why are they in this situation? Well, part of the reason we pointed to opening night. We put some of the pressure where it often goes, and that's on the star players. Yzerman and Fedorov, Hull and Oates. Well, I think the star players have done what they're supposed to do, but the other guys playing for Detroit have chipped in 13 goals to help Yzerman and Fedorov 4. While Hull and Oates have scored 6 for St. Louis, the entire rest of the St. Louis Blues team have only scored 6. So while we knew that the superstars would have to carry these teams, the other guys for the St. Louis Blues haven't been able to match the other guys for the Detroit Red Wings. All right, reason number 2. Another one of the question marks, goaltending. The big question mark was on Tim Cheveldae, however. No question mark now, and Vincent Riendeau has lost the 3 Blues games. Last week, Cheveldae was an unknown commodity. Now he is a proven playoff performer. Vincent Riendeau, a guy that had a splendid season, has not played poorly so far, but Mikey has simply not played strong enough goals to win a series. You have to have superlative goaltending to win. The Blues haven't gotten that yet. My partner, the guru here, applies check marks, which he calls the edge. Let's go back to where those check marks were for Game 1. Well, this should show everybody exactly how big an underdog the Detroit Red Wings were. The only area that they even had a chance of matching St. Louis was in team offense. The rest, I mean, the stats were so lopsided for St. Louis, but in the span of 9 days, you can see how far the Detroit Rings have come. I think the biggest check mark now in favor of Detroit, which is their biggest disadvantage, Mike, going into Game 1, is in team defense. And you notice that in the edge, I've given the check mark to the Detroit Red Wings. The St. Louis Blues had the 3rd best defensive team during the regular season. They have not played like a strong defensive team, and they have had breakdowns all over the ice. So right now, this series is obviously in the hands of the Detroit Red Wings to squeeze and to win right now. 7 teams have come from a 3-1 deficit to take a series. Will the Blues be number 8? It's going to take one big step and a couple more following it. But the big step must be tonight. Will they do it? We'll see. Opening face-off coming up after these words.
Tonight's Stanley Cup playoff game on Sports Channel America is brought to you by Extra Strength Rolaids with 1,000 milligrams of fast relief. By 8-6 athletic shoes featuring shock-absorbing gel. And by Sneaker Tamers. Sneaker Tamers insoles tame ferocious sneaker odor with the world's most powerful odor destroyer, activated charcoal.
For the first time in history, the compact pickup ranked most trouble-free. Also ranked highest in truck customer satisfaction. Mazda, a truck so tough, we guarantee it long enough for a trip around the world. Twice.
Oha!
Mazda trucks, guaranteed tough.
It just feels right.
Because if you don't watch your figure, who will?
It's the right feeling now.
Because when it comes to water, the only place to start is at the top.
It's the right feeling now.
Because when the party's going full steam, you don't want to fill up. So reach for the beer that won't slow you down. The Silver Bullet.
Coors Light, it's the right beer now.
My feet are so sweaty and smelly.
Here's why. Your feet have more sweat glands than any other part of your body. They need super drying Odor Eaters foot powder. Look, you'd need 25 cans of talc to match the drying strength of just one Odor Eaters powder. It can absorb 25 times more wetness.
Wow, it even keeps my feet dry. And no more smell.
Odor Eaters foot powder from the makers of Odor Eaters insoles with the world's most powerful odor destroyer.
Today, a guy losing his hair can choose between being the man he wants to be
We look great with hair. Do something to save it.
and the man he could become.
Can't you accept nature like everyone else?
Doctors have hair loss treatment programs that are proven to work, and the sooner you see a doctor, the better.
We don't want nature. We want hair.
When you've considered the arguments
We might look great bald.
and you decide you want hair, there's only one thing to do. See your doctor or call this number for more information.
Welcome to our Stanley Cup studios in New York. I'm Bob Papa. We hope you're getting set for night number 10 of the Stanley Cup playoffs on Sports Channel America. We'll keep you posted on everything that happens. Now we take you back out to St. Louis. Here's Mike Emmerich and Bill Clement and the national anthem.
Full house here at the arena in St. Louis. Tim Cheveldae. It's not his style, it's his attitude, Coach Brian Murray says. That's the reason that he's performed so well. 3 wins and a loss.
You know, before game one, I said the best kept secret for the St. Louis Blues, their goaltending. It simply hasn't measured up in this series so far.
Dan Maruelli, the referee. Kevin Collins, Pat DiPuzzo, the linesman. The standby is Rob Schick and the off-ice officials from Minnesota. The Fedorov line starts for Detroit. Brian Sutter gets the lineup and then makes up his own. And he's not going with Oates. He'll go with Bob Bassett and Sutter and Lowry. Checkers. Burr and Fedek, the wingers for Fedorov. McCrimmon and Dallas, the defense for Detroit. Stevens and Brown for St. Louis. And it's that tandem that turns first. And the Red Wings make a quick change after they've dumped it in. Puck worked along now for the carry by Lowry. Floats one to the Rich Sutter corner. He's wedged off by Bob Probert. Puck overskated by Carson Brown with a shot, and that one blocked and then held by Cheveldae as he crumbled to the ice. Tim Cheveldae gets a big test right off, and now some of the sparring after the whistle that we had sort of forecast in this one tonight.
Well, was there any doubt that St. Louis Blues weren't going to go down without a fight in this one? Dave Lowry and Rich Sutter both jammed into the goal to try and pick up the rebound. Dan Maruelli's going to have his hands full tonight, and I'll tell you why. Not only the St. Louis Blues going to try and come at Detroit with everything they have, one of their weapons will be Kelly Chase. Darren Kimball is staying in the lineup for St. Louis. There have been some lineup changes. Kelly Chase has just come off the suspended list. He is back in the lineup. He's one of the tough guys for St. Louis. But, you know, already in this game, Mike, Detroit has accomplished something that they wanted to accomplish on the first shift. That was keep Oates and Hall off the ice. Here you see some of the action with Lowry jamming in front on Rick Zombo. But with Fedorov starting, Brian Sutter decided not to have Hall and Oates out there against him. But as soon as the opening puck was dropped, the Fedorov line changed.
Tough guy Kelly Chase out on the wing right now. Stevens with a shot, and that one kicked away. He was having words with Probert before that face-off. Puck worked ahead, and Potvin taken down by a Stevens check, but it's fed on now to Yves Racine. Racine for the Red Wings just taps it on his backhand of the corner. A shove by Potvin on Brindamore. Dump back off by Brown. Puck squibs to Probert, has to play in neutral ice. Just dumps it back in, and this becomes an onside play now as the Red Wings have stepped back in from neutral ice. Played along for Kelly Chase. Chase, who spent most of the year in the International League with the Peoria farm team. Puck turned across the goal mouth, and that tapped away by Cheveldae. Laid out by Probert, who was stepped into by Chase, and the two of them sparring at one another in neutral ice. Still they shove. No stoppage of play. Kevin Collins stepped in between. Chase comes for a shift change. Cavallini, a shot that is deflected into the seats, and play is stopped. Two different games going on.
There's something so electric about a hockey game that involves one team facing elimination. I mean, the ultimate is when you're playing a seventh game with two teams facing elimination. But on this last shift, Bob Probert constantly chattering at the St. Louis players, not only playing a physical game, but going at them verbally. I mean, he's done that this entire series, and he was yapping at Kelly Chase the entire time they were out there against one another. Problem for Kelly Chase is he is not in Bob Probert's category as a heavyweight. Chase is a game kid. I mean, he's 6 feet tall and goes about 196, but Probert's got size and reach and NHL Major League fighting experience. I mean, that's far greater than that of Kelly Chase.
Well, you talk about the difference between the minor leagues and the major leagues when it comes to putting the puck in the net, and how sometimes minor league 50-goal scorers don't pan out that well in the NHL. Well, the same is true for the guys who have to scuffle for a living. Just because you're strong down there doesn't guarantee anything up here. 3-on-2. Fedorov with a pass that missed for Burr. Gino Cavallini jams it behind. Fedorov right there to take it. Fedorov taken to the boards by Paul Cavallini. Still they spar for it, and Adam Oates comes by. Flips one off the glove of Gino Cavallini, and Brad McCrimmon back to get it. McCrimmon just drops it on back deep. Paul Cavallini handles it there. 1:45 gone in the first period of our game. We have no score. Here's Oates working on Bobby Dallas. Butcher skates by. The float goes to Hull. Hull has to pivot away from Sean Burr. Featherstone a shot, and that one knocked down by Fettig. Brett Fettig shoved by Butcher and pawed at. Meanwhile, Burr steers it off for Fedorov. Moving in with Dallas. Fedorov goes down. Backhander save. Rebound. Another one. They score! Fedorov with a remarkable play. And then on the rebound, Bobby Dallas puts it in. It's 1-0 in favor of Detroit.
Well, Brian Murray got the matchup that he wanted. He got the Fedorov line out there against the Hull line, but even more than that, he ended up getting Sergei Fedorov isolated right here in a one-on-one situation with Brett Hull. Hull was back covering for one of his D-men. You want to talk about perseverance? From flat on his face, Sergei Fedorov got a shot on Vincent Riendo that he wasn't able to handle. The rebound came out to Bobby Dallas, who got not only one shot, but 2 shots at it before anybody got there to take him. Perseverance by Fedorov and Bobby Dallas. Detroit won, St. Louis nothing. Boy, oh boy, I mean, this is exactly what Detroit wanted and exactly the way St. Louis did not want to start this hockey game.
Basson can't get to the front. Chased off by Garpenloff. Garpenloff hands it across. Kevin Miller is there. Wraps it around the wall. Riendo can't stop. Garpenloff looks, taps it on back for Chason shot, and that one off Kevin Miller, who can control. Miller flipped one in front. Garpenloff, backhander, turned away by Riendo. Garpenloff after it, roughed up by Scott Stevens. Coming by is Basson, too. Nearly they pin it, but Miller works it back to Chason. Across to Crossman, who had turned, and so he has to play in neutral ice, and the Blues can follow up. Basson hacked by Miller. Puck comes across to Chason. 3 minutes gone, first period of our game. In case you're just joining us, the Red Wings have the lead 1-0 on a goal by Bobby Dallas at 2:12. Rushing on is Jeff Brown. Brown watched by Rick Zombo. Match stride for stride and carried off. Cheveldae with just a little tap. Darren Kimball up with that one. Down he goes, though, and the Red Wings move out. They've got a 3-on-1. Here is Primo. Fires, and that deflected away for the one-man back. That was Glenn Featherstone. Turn to the corner. Brown with it. Thrown back down. There'll be a penalty coming up, and we'll get the call. It's going to be against the Blues. Barring further penalties, Detroit will have a power play when we come back.
When sports cream, when arms are sore, when legs ache, when muscles hurt, why sports cream? Massaging sports cream in brings fast pain relief. No medicine-y smell, no odor. Why sports cream? Because it works.
Over 28 million adults get athlete's foot.
I'm Jim Bird. I had athlete's foot until I used NP27. It has an ingredient recommended by doctors.
Look, NP27 stops the burning, itching of athlete's foot fast.
NP27. Nothing's a better cure for athlete's foot.
Well, it looks like the penalties are going to cancel. We'll get those for you in a moment. In the meantime, we want to point out how many minutes the St. Louis Blues have actually been in the lead for in this series. Unbelievably, they have only led for 12 minutes and 19 seconds. Detroit has led for 136 minutes and 21 seconds. And we'll get into some of the real specifics about how to coach a hockey team when you're down and how to coach a hockey team when you're in the lead. But one thing is certain, it is such an advantage in general to have the lead, and that is something that the St. Louis Blues have not had, nor do they have it in this game so far. Detroit leads 1-0.
Featherstone, a high sticking penalty, but Kevin Miller got a roughing minor, and so they cancel. Initially, the whistle was blown when the Blues touched it. But there was a little bit after the whistle. Whether that was what was penalized or whether he had them both at the same time, we don't know. For the time of those penalties, 3:27. So they still go at full tilt both sides. Burr also got an assist with Fedorov on Dallas's goal, his first of the playoffs at 2:12. Racine a shot, and that deflected to the seats by Rob Brindamore.
You know, I guess it's easy for everybody to sit back and say that Brian Sutter has been possibly outcoached in this because Brian Murray has had most of the matchups. But when you have only led for 12 minutes, you don't control the blueprint. We brought that up in game one. It is so much easier to get the matchups that you need out there. For one thing, the coach that is behind has to worry all of a sudden about how to spring his offensive guys loose. He simply cannot afford to play them straight away or once he falls behind. And that is an advantage that Brian Murray has had over Brian Sutter in this entire series, except for 12 minutes.
Yzerman on the tie-up with Oates. Zombo shovels one, fought away by Riendo. Right after it, the captain, Steve Yzerman, sealed up by Butcher. Trying to turn it along is Oates, and he's able to escape that hard hit from Miller. Ahead with this now comes Oates. Moves in and fires. Score!
It will be left to the St. Louis Blues star players to carry the load. They need help, but they have to carry the majority of it. A huge shot from Adam Oates beat Tim Cheveldae to the long side. Cheveldae gave him a bunch of room. I think this angle will see it. But there was a St. Louis Blues player cutting through the middle that I think Cheveldae picked up visually. You can see there was quite a bit of room to the long side. Cheveldae may have peeked to the center and seen Dave Lowry or Gino. It was Gino Cavallini steaming down the slot. That may be the reason that he didn't come out and face Adam Oates even more, but even if he had come out further, Mike, to cut down the angle, how do you do that against Adam Oates? He fakes it, he goes around you, he tucks it in himself, or he sets up somebody else. Oates just beat him. 1-1, and the crowd is back in this now.
Red Wings controlled that faceoff, again made a player change right after, but were guilty of icing the puck, so back it'll come near Tim Cheveldae.
I kind of sense that both of these teams might press early. I mean, St. Louis is trying to stay alive, so they have to be keyed up. The Red Wings are trying to drive the final nail into the coffin, so they might be a little jittery. But it takes 60 minutes to win a hockey game. You know, if you try too hard too soon, you make mistakes. And to me, that has been the biggest difference overall in this series. The St. Louis Blues have not shown the patience that is so characteristic of their team, and it has been for years. They wait, they let you beat yourselves, they capitalize on their offensive chances, but Mike, they have given up so many breakaways, 2-on-1s and 3-on-1s in this series.
Boy, and they had a 3-on-1 early, and if the Red Wings had been able to score there, they'd have a 2-goal lead right now. But the game is tied, 1-1. Dallas scoring for Detroit, and Adam Oates for St. Louis. Lowry trying to battle the boards. Puck turned along now for Basson in front, and it rolls off the stick of Paul Cavallini, centered off the outside of the goal, and Cheveldae. Rich Sutter to the corner. McCrimmon near him, so it's tapped along, but punched away from Lowry by McCrimmon. Bob Probert goes in deep. The Blues converge on him, but he's able to muscle right away, and Probert will lead it back out. Pestered from behind by Lowry, then given a rough ride to the boards, and Probert staring at Lowry. Kevin Collins gets in between again. The feed to Probert, and a high-rising shot got the glass. Probert stepped into by Oates. Puck punched along by Mark Potvin. Probert points back for Crossman, just walled right off by Gino Cavallini, and ahead is Hall. Hall fakes a drive, gets around, scores!
Just give me the puck, boys. Just give it to me and let me do my thing. Watch this move that Brett Hull puts on Steve Chason. Chason down for the block. Not so fast. Chason spun out. That left Hull wide open to go around him. How long did it take Brett Hull to get rid of this shot? None. And he had to put it in off the post. He hit the post twice in the first 2 minutes of Game 4. He has hit the post here, but this time he got the bounce off the post that he wanted. And St. Louis leads 2-1. Mike, one thing I want to point out on that goal, Bob Probert had an outstanding shift until he went deep into the St. Louis zone and dumped the puck back to his point man. That's when St. Louis broke out. It wasn't a good pass. Bob Probert should know he is far more valuable to his team when he can keep the play in the corners, especially when Adam Oates and Brett Hull are out there against him.
Oates unassisted at 3:45. Hull unassisted at 4:58. Complexion has changed markedly in just a couple of minutes. Red Wings are deep back in that zone as the Blues try to move it along. Brindamore's pass taken by Jeff Brown. Brown lofts one that goes all the way down. Cheveldae just golfs it to the corner. But no matter, they get a signal and an icing, or check that, an offside pass. And so back it'll come away from Tim Cheveldae.
It was a simpler time. A time of hope and faith in the future. Blue jeans and white t-shirts were in. And people fell in love with the Miata. A ragtop, a two-seater, a true roadster. Everyone seemed to be feeling pretty good. The Mazda Miata. It not only gives you a glimpse of the 90s, it takes you back as well.
Well, now if St. Louis can hold the lead, we'll see what kind of damage they can do as far as shutting down Detroit. And they have a team that really knows how to play a defensive style when they have to. Kind of glad we got those lead time numbers in when we did. I mean, the lead changed hands so quickly here.
This has been a series in which the winner has held the loser to under 4 in every game. 4 has been a magic number for both of these teams. Neither of them lost in the regular season, nor have they lost in the playoffs when they were the first team to get to 4. Blues are halfway there as Butcher sends one off the glass and Zombo up with it. Puts it on the stick of Steve Yzerman, but that defended away by Paul Cavallini, and help had to come from Burr. To Racine, who looks ahead. Blocked away by Hall. Zombo covering, though, and Adam Oates moves to him. Given up to Cavallini, to Hall. A shot went off the glass. Around now for Miller. Miller moves it on the backhand play of Fedorov, then ahead for Sean Burr. Chased down by Paul Cavallini. Burr and Cavallini canceled. Gino Cavallini gave it away to Fedorov behind. Fedorov tried for Burr, didn't get him. Sent one in front off Kevin Miller, and that one went wide. Brought back up by Oates. Checked off, though, by Fedorov. Flipped all the way back down by Paul Cavallini. Icing waved off. The tap by Cheveldae, the take by Dallas. 13:30 to go in the first period. 2-1 in favor of the Blues. Dallas able to get away from the forecheckers and work for Probert. Dueled, though, by Marois, and back it comes to Dallas once more. Slides across to Brad McCrimmon. 12 times in the playoffs, he's never missed. On now for Dallas, cranking it around the wall again. Riendo got a piece of it, but it came past Probert and back out now for Oates. 3 Red Wings back, and Oates has no help just yet. Darren Kimball moves to the front of the net as Oates went down. Chason lifts, and it went off the referee. Kept alive, though, by Featherstone, but given up to Crossman, and here come the Red Wings again. Moving on with it is Bob Probert. Has Carson. Fires a shot that is tipped away by Marois, then hacked around the boards. Blues move to that. Oates just flops one back. Ship change, St. Louis. 4 shots for the Blues. 3 shots for the Red Wings. 12:40 to go in the first. St. Louis in the lead 2-1. Delayed offside is wiped as the Blues clear. Chason couldn't jam it by. Rich Sutter has a man in front. Wilson pivoting. Feeds one to the slot. Checked off as Lowry. Stevens a shot. And that's blocked away by the defense. Thrown around the board. Wilson heads to it. Taps it off for Rich Sutter. Stepped into by Primo. Coming by is Lowry again to control. Crossman on him. The feed by Wilson. Knocked loose by Primo. Pinching in Brown. Big drive. And that one held by Cheveldae. Lowry shoved with Chason and Primo as well. 12:09 left in the first. 2-1 Blues. Let's pause for this regional break. You're watching the Stanley Cup playoffs on Sports Channel.
Let's go! Get ready to fly at the speed of sound this Saturday night at the South Sound Speedway as we present the Rainier Beer 125 NASCAR Winston Northwest Tour All-American Challenge Series. 125 thundering laps on the track almost too tough to tame. Plus, on the same hot ticket, it's the NASCAR Superstocks and Bombers. Take exit 88 off I-5, head east 2.5 miles, and you're there at the South Sound Speedway. Sponsored by Rainier Beer and Birdwell Motors. The South Sound Speedway in Tenino, where legends are born.
On this sequence, the Red Wings had really their pair of defensemen out there that aren't as physical as the other ones. Doug Crossman, Steve Chason. Ronnie Wilson was to the side of the net. Dave Lowry was in front, and when Chason pushed him, Lowry retaliated. End result of all of this was Keith Primo came in, and both Lowry and Primo have picked up a couple of minutes for roughing here in the first period.
Coincidental penalties, and those very common in the Stanley Cup playoffs. Fighting has not been, but coincidentals for roughing or high sticking or an occasional coincidental misconduct have been. Over the last 6 nights, 102 of those, 19 fights. And as you may have noticed earlier, Kevin Collins rushed in between players. They're just not allowing those fights to break out. And the referee will assess canceling penalties as he did with Primo and Lowry just a moment ago.
A couple of lineup changes for the St. Louis Blues. One of them is Dave Tomlinson, scored 53 goals in Peoria this season. David Bruce, who had scored 64 in Peoria and had played up until the last game, was sent back down to Peoria when Tomlinson was called up. Tomlinson had 3 years of 27 goals in Peoria. This year had 53, but he's not a guy that will score on the rush. He's typical St. Louis. Blocker, jammer, good along the boards, drives to the net hard. Just get it to where the traffic is, and Dave Tomlinson might be able to help you with one.
Set a new IHL record for power play goals in the International League. Had 27 of those. Whether he'll get duty on the power play in this game is a question. Ahead now, Garpenlaw. Sent further, though, by Kevin Miller, and he goes back after it. He and Paul Cavallini go to the corner. Down goes Miller. Puck loose, and Neal's right near it, coming by as Fedorov. Kick loose over for Oates. Fedorov right on him, so it's laid behind for Garth Butcher. 11:35 to go in the first. St. Louis ahead in the game by a count of 2-1. Oates and Hull have scored for the Blues. Bobby Dallas had the first goal of the game. That for the Red Wings. Shots are 5-3. Low shot totals also common in this series. Fedorov moving ahead, trying to worm his way through. Took some lumber. Backhander save. Rebound poked wide by Hull, who was pinned deep. Puck kicked back off, though, to Burr. Dealt one along the boards. That's knocked loose by Fedorov. Brindamore after it, but Oates up with it as Miller just now getting up from having been taken down. Hull wedged off by Dallas, so plenty of time for Brad McCrimmon. Right after him, Brindamore, but he lays it along for Burr. Burr sidesteps the forechecking of Hull. Drops it for the carry back up ice by McCrimmon. Brad McCrimmon just flops it to the corner. In to get it is Stevens. After him is Burr. Stevens pass taken by Brindamore with good control. Then up for Oates. Oates drops for Brown, who carries in. The drop to Oates. Looks for Hull. Couldn't get it through to him. Puck followed up by Brindamore, and he can't get to the front. Knocked down and picked up by Brown. His shot knocked down. Loose in front. Time in this series, the St. Louis Blues are starting to look like the St. Louis Blues. Dominant here in the first period after falling behind by 1. But one of the keys, Mike, I think, is that there aren't any St. Louis Blues that are on their backs. I mean, Brindamore was down, but he fell down. Nobody hitting. And Detroit in Game 4 hit the St. Louis Blues all over the place. You give Oates and Hull time to stand around in front of the net and grab rebounds, and this is what will happen. Adam Oates has scored his second of the game, third of the series, 3-1 St. Louis. Hull gets an assist. And it is Brindamore who came up with the other assist. Try to spell that name the way I pronounced it. Puck dribbled behind. Chiasson working over there with Chase in front, and still they spar as the shot came through on Cheveldae. Dan Maruelli blew the whistle, stopping play. Robert moved over to have a word with Chase, but there'll be more penalties coming up out of this. 10:05 left in the first. The Blues today are the Blues of old, and they lead 2 goals.
Because if you don't watch your figure, who will?
It's the right beer now.
Because when it comes to water, the only place to start is at the top.
It's the right beer now.
Because when the party's going full steam, you don't want to fill up. So reach for the beer that won't slow you down. The Silver Bullet.
Coors Light, it's the right beer now.
St. Louis has been able to establish their forechecking game. They're driving to the net. Kelly Chase has gotten into action twice here in the first 10 minutes of the first period. And crowding and jamming in front is something that St. Louis has done well throughout the regular season, but hasn't done much of in the playoffs. This time they decided to. Steve Chiasson simply got a bear hug on Kelly Chase, and when he let up on him, that's when Chase decided he was going to explode, pushed him back. They both picked up minors, though, for roughing.
The no major penalties for fighting in this series, and we were sort of forecasting to ourselves this morning that if this game got lopsided either way, that we would see some. The Blues are on their way to making it that way, and they're wheeling well. Rich Sutter, backhand in front, lifted by Lowry, poked out of the crease. I think Yzerman is the man who got it at the front. Garpenloff's pass misses across for Miller. Paul Cavallini connects back over with Butcher. 9:50 left in the first. 3-1 the Blues ahead. Basson moving on Racine. Basson tries to get loose. Racine without a stick. Help comes from Kevin Miller. Detroit shifting from defense to offense. Yzerman floats one ahead. Off the stick of Garpenloff, goes back to play. Butcher patrolling there, takes him out. Aaron Kimball with a pass that skips on across for Lowry to try again. Lowry looks for Kimball, decides to play it himself. Off the tip of the glove of Racine. Around the boards, Racine bumps with Kimball. Puck all the way to the point. Paul Cavallini a shot, and that deflected away. Zombo to the corner, stepped into by Ron Wilson. Yzerman flips it back out. Paul Cavallini just lifts it right back. Racine goes to play it. 9:05 to go in the first. Boy, you talk about the thumping, and it's almost exclusively St. Louis now. Primo trying to wedge his way through, can't do it. It's Bobby Dallas instead, shuffling one back deep. 9-4 the shots now, the Blues with the advantage. Brown with a pass on for Tomlinson, hands for Wilson, moving on with Kimball. Wilson for Kimball, back for Wilson off the skates of McCrimmon, cleared but kept by Stevens, and the shot that went wide. Kimball again, that one kicked loose by Dallas, brought back up by Primo. 2-on-2 for the Red Wings, trying to step by as Randy McKay can't get by Stevens, who said no. Habscheid tips it back to the corner. Riendo out of his goal. Primo fed one in front, but it's golfed on by Tomlinson and sped right back for Primo. Pivoting with this is Habscheid. Across it comes for McKay. Cranks a shot and a pad stop. Riendo brought back up by Wilson. Headman pass on to Hallstick. Blues in the midst of a change, and the feed to Oates, looking for the hat trick. Save made by Cheveldae. Habscheid angrily fires it around. There'll be a penalty coming up to Detroit. The Blues will be on the power play. They lead in the game with 8:01 to go in the first period by a score of 3-1.
Now over here, we're going to put that computer. You don't want it over there? I don't know.
When the moment comes to build your dreams, no card's better than Gold MasterCard.
This corner's for your weight machine.
With more buying power at nearly 3 times more places than American Express.
This wall's for your trophies. No pressure, though. Yeah.
Gold MasterCard, piece by piece, the best gold card to master the moment.
Now this is a baseball.
Adam Oates just about had himself a hat trick, but I think he had his mind made up what he wanted to do before he even checked to see if there was an opening there. He tried to pull Cheveldae's legs apart and then go for the 5-hole stuff. Watch it from this angle. Real common move, but very often you have your mind made up before you shoot. You can see there was nothing there, but on the play, the consolation prize is a power play for St. Louis. Bobby Dallas is off for a slash.
Blues are 3 for 24 in the series on the power play. Dan Quinn spins. Hull with a shot, and that partly tipped on the follow-through by Fedek. Dumped along, Brindamore allows it to go, but Quinn did too. Red Wings can't clear. Oates able to keep. Has Paul Cavallini nearby and gives to him. Pass across is checked away by Burr, but kept by Quinn. Dan Quinn has a man at the side, Brindamore, but he plays catch with Oates instead. Big shot by Oates, and that tipped away to the glass. Pops down near Zombo, stepped into by Hull. Cranked around by Fedek. Waiting for it, Paul Cavallini with the kneeling play. 35 seconds gone on the power play. A block by Fedek, a recovery by Brindamore, but Fedek starts it out now with Sean Burr. Burr draws back to crank one, but partly impeded by Quinn. Paul Cavallini spikes it on his backhand to Oates. 1:10 to go on the minor to Dallas for slashing at 11:59. 3-1 the Blues ahead. Trying to get in is Brindamore. Checked off by Doug Crossman, and he's able to speed it back out. Halfway through the power play. Riendo just sets it up. Red Wings are killing with Chason in back along with Doug Crossman. And up front they go with Fedorov and Miller. Quinn with a pass off of Tomlinson, picked up by Hull. Able to escape Miller's checking. He points it back to Brown. Hurries it over for Oates. Cranks a shot, pad stop. Rebound in front. Tomlinson a shot. And Cheveldae got that one. Still they scrap for it. And it's picked up by Fedorov, and he's able to lead it back out. Half a minute for the Red Wings still to kill. As Fedorov moves ahead, trying to get by Brown, and he sent it just wide. short-handed opportunity for Fedorov, and we get a stoppage of play, and I believe the net may be dislodged. That is the case. Net behind Riendeau.
Boy, you talk about always dangerous. I mean, Fedorov, Jeff Brown was leaning right here and reaching. Watch this little move here when he puts it between Brown's stick and his body right there and cuts in for a forehand shot. I mean, there are so few players that even think of that move, let alone have the ability to execute. Dave Tomlinson just about had his first in this playoff series. Power play chance that came right to him in front. Brett Hull couldn't get it. You could see that the Red Wings on their kill really collapsed back in to help out. Cheveldae has been left unprotected often in this first period. That has not happened a lot in the series so far. He's gotten great coverage from his D-men in front. Killing, penalty killing, and at even strength.
Tomlinson and Brent Fedek side by side as the puck won by the Red Wings. McCrimmon just wedges one high to the air that will plop wide of the net with 15 seconds still on the St. Louis power play. Scott Stevens with a pass over for Gino Cavallini. Cavallini ahead, moves it over for Ron Wilson. Fedek locks him up, coming by is Jeff Brown. Hands it across for Cavallini to Tomlinson, who shot before he really had it. Tomlinson again back to Stevens, right out of the box, Bobby Dallas. Puck given up near the Red Wings, but they can't control just yet. Turned to the boards by Wilson. Locked up by Fedek, and the Red Wings now able to clear. There'll be an icing call. Stevens back to touch up. Having words back down the ice, Chason and Wilson, but it appears nothing will come of that. 3-1 St. Louis.
To help relieve her heartburn, her antacid uses aluminum and magnesium, but his is Tums, and Tums has calcium.
Something my body needs anyway. I like that.
Old Spice, Sports Channel America, and The National present the Fans' Choice for MVP. To vote, dial 1-900-896-2333. Know your MVP's team and jersey number. The winners will be featured on Sports Channel America. Call 1-900-896-2333.
Well, the goal totals for St. Louis now look like this. 9 goals for Hull and Oates and 6 for the entire rest of the team.
Butcher, a shot knocked down. Scooped up by Probert. Pestered from behind by Lowry and run off by Butcher, but he recovers. Bob Probert moving it in. Can't get a good shot away. Good defensive play there by Paul Cavallini. Racine across now for Zombo. Lifts it along back in. Cavallini goes back to get it. Probert puts a shove on Butcher. Takes it away. But we get a stoppage of play. And there's going to be more coming up here. I think Probert is the one who's going to get the penalty, at least initially. There may be more added.
I think you're right. You know, there was an offside whistle that Probert, I think, was claiming to have not heard. He whacked a couple of blues. Kevin Collins, who had blown the offside, came racing in and continued to blow his whistle. I think Bob Probert may have heard it and just pretended that he didn't hear it. But once again, Bob Probert is off for really a useless type of penalty. He was suspended for Game 4 because of his punch on Vincent Riendeau here in Game 2. And the guys that have antagonized Bob Probert the most in this series, Garth Butcher and Scott Stevens. And that time it was Butcher again that was yapping at him. Bob Probert reacted to it. I think he took a left-hand straight punch at him that landed right in front of Dan Maruelli. But here's some of Probert's action. Now, the whistle's already blown at this point. Paul Cavallini, you can see him looking up, and he's letting up. Butcher was pushed. Then Cavallini was pushed. Bob Basson, number 28, came in and said, look, I heard the whistle.
Well, I didn't, I'll admit. 14:53, the time of the Probert minor for roughing, so the Red Wings have to kill again.
That means you would have been down there slamming guys around too, huh?
Right. Oates hands to Quinn, in front to Hull, and it's blocked down by the defensive McCrimmon, then chopped high into the seats. Guarantee if I could stand up on skates, I'd be nowhere within 40 feet of Bob Probert.
Well, you know, you mentioned this game perhaps getting a little physical and getting out of hand and some fights erupting. I think that decision belongs to Bob Probert. Take a look at the St. Louis chance. Detroit defense are down often to try and block shots. It's cost them 1 goal. Chason went down on Brett Hull for Brett Hull's only goal in the first period. Hull went around him. But if you're Kelly Chase or Darren Kimball, why would you want to go out there and tangle with the league's heavyweight champ when you've got the lead, when it's a 3-1 lead? Unless if you dethrone him, it might give you an advantage in Game 6 if you win this one back in Detroit. But I'll tell you what, it's a tough job.
Oates takes the pass from Jeff Brown, lays it along for Quinn. That one tipped away by Dallas. Hull tries to recover, canceled by Dallas. Up with it, Brindamore, looking for Quinn. Brindamore behind. Has Quinn open and gives to him, but nearly tangled him up for a moment. Now Quinn with more ice and time. Hull with a drill that went wide. Tapped off by Fedorov, is able to start away. Sergei Fedorov had it poke-checked away by Quinn, though, and the Blues can shift their minds back to the power play, which is half gone. McCrimmon takes out Quinn. Puck pumped along to Hull. Down went a Blue. The puck over to Oates, and we get a stoppage of play because of an apparent injury to Dan Quinn, and there's blood on the ice here. There'll be a minor, or two minors, or a major coming up to Detroit.
I don't think there'll be any question about this one. As long as Maruelli finds the right guy, we could be looking at a major power play. Already 55 seconds left in the penalty to Bob Probert, and it was Brad McCrimmon that went over to take Dan Quinn to the boards. At this stage, it doesn't look like he was hit up high. Maybe McCrimmon's stick did clip him in that sequence. Hard to tell. Oh, there it is. There it is. After he got up, Brad McCrimmon. He has to be gone. We'll pick it up officially when we come back.
For the first time in history, the compact pickup ranked most trouble-free was also ranked highest in truck customer satisfaction. Mazda, a truck so tough, we guarantee it long enough for a trip around the world. Twice. Mazda trucks, guaranteed tough.
It just feels right.
First ejection of the series, and it comes with a major penalty. Brad McCrimmon, 5 in a game for a high stick at 15:38 in St. Louis to get a 5-on-3. I can't help but think of what you were saying earlier, that the lead time means a lot about what a coach can do, and that's favored Brian Murray. Now Brian Sutter has a lead. It's 2 goals, and it can be bigger if they strike gold on this 5-on-3.
Now Brian Murray has to decide how long he will stay with his matchups. Will he bother trying to get Fedorov out there against Hull and Oates? Imagine he will. Fedorov's done well himself, and his line has done well offensively. Kevin Miller and Sean Burr have helped out. So I would think that Brian Murray will continue to have that matchup going, but I'll tell you something. Steve Yzerman got a hat trick in Game 1, Mike, and he hasn't scored a goal since then. He got over 50 goals again this season. St. Louis put the ball directly into the hands and the puck directly on the sticks of their superstars, Hull and Oates, and they have responded. Steve Yzerman has to do it for the Red Wings as well.
Garpenloff also, or check that. Well, Garpenloff, yes, and also Fedorov has not scored since the first game. Blues 0 for 1 on their prior 5-on-3 in this series. Puck drilled along the boards by Brown. First one there is Zombo. Zombo worked it to Chason, and it's floated back down. 32 seconds left on the minor penalty, but 4.5 on the major. Adam Oates holds this. Hands back to Paul Cavallini. Moves in and gives over to Brown. They pull it in tighter. Paul Cavallini again. Side of the goal to Oates to Hull, and he pulled the trigger quickly, but it's blocked away by Yzerman. They'll get Probert back in just 10 seconds. Paul Cavallini, a shot, save on the play made by Cheveldae. Wilson stripped to the puck by Yzerman, and Yzerman able to move back out along with Steve Chason. Penalty time is up to Probert. Moving in is Yzerman again. Bumped off, keeps going. Boy, did he ever chew up a lot of time. A half minute on that one. And now it's 3:50 to go on the major, and St. Louis has a 5-on-4. Brown throws it off the boards. Chopped along by Fedorov. Off of Brown and back down once again.
You know, Mike, it may be difficult for Yzerman to do what he wants to do in this hockey game. He banged up his right knee in Game 4 in Detroit. Wasn't necessarily classified as doubtful for this one, but a lot of people feel that he's not at 100% for this one.
Floated right into Oates on the clearing attempt of Dallas. Oates once again has Brown breaking. Shakes it onto the back, though, for Stevens. Oates once more. Down goes Tomlinson. The feed ricochets near him. Tomlinson, a shot! And he missed on the short side. Puck sent high and gloved to the corner by Racine. Hull speeds it back to the point again. Stevens connects with Brown. 3:10 to go on this long power play. Oates to Hull, and a shot deflected away. Stevens there to get it. Boy, a searching power play has found itself somewhat in that the Blues are getting some sparkling chances on this advantage. Oates across now for Hull. Shunts one across, fresh from the bench, Brindamore, but he couldn't control, and Burr sent it back down. 2:50 to go on the major penalty power play. 2:05 to go in the period, and the Blues have the lead 3-1. Moving on with this is Butcher. Hard off the corner board. Zombo makes them chase. Oates with 2 goals. Hull with 1. Bobby Dallas with the lone goal for Detroit. Nearly a steal by Burr. Back up the wing, Gino Cavallini. Stepped into by Zombo. Zombo pumped it around the boards. Burr can't clear. Zombo can, but then is unable to get much wood on it, though it flops to the safety of neutral ice. Garth Butcher takes it there. A minute and a half to go in the period. Cavallini, a shot blocked away by Cheveldae, who craned and looked behind. Wilson there to get it. Watched by Doug Crossman. Behind for Brindamore. Right back for Wilson again. Has Butcher at the point. Returns for Wilson. Guides it around for Brindamore. Off his stick. Zombo patrolling. Zombo stepped into by Gino Cavallini, and Burr lifts it back out again. 1:08 to go in the first. 1:45 of major penalty power play time. Brindamore to Stevens. The return for Brindamore off the boards. Behind for Gino Cavallini. Along for Oates. Has Paul Cavallini at the point, but shuffles it off for Gino Cavallini, and a shot is knocked down by Cheveldae, and he'll hang on. 16 Blues shots in this period, and the Red Wings have 5.
And a lot of the shots for St. Louis have come on the power play, but tell you what, Detroit's penalty killing unit, I think, is their most improved area of their entire team game in the playoffs. I mean, during the regular season, penalty killing, they ranked 18th overall. In this series, in the first 4 games, they killed off 21 of 24 St. Louis power plays, so that will tell you how they're playing. They're playing far better as a unit. I mean, they're not running around. They're not as aggressive in isolated situations. When one guy moves, they all move. You have to move as a unit of 4. You can't have individuals moving.
Cheveldae snapped that one up off the face-off, and Kevin Miller is able to clear it back down. 45 seconds left in the period. 1:20 on the major penalty power play. Jeff Brown brings it ahead. Hands back across for Paul Cavallini. Just shuffles one in. Cheveldae has it. Sets it up for Jason, and it's drilled back down again. The Red Wings have had only 2 shots in the last 10 minutes of this period. They had only 3 in the first 10 minutes. Puck popped back over to Racine again. Racine just shovels one that is blocked away. Kevin Miller was hoping to take that one and move in. On with it is Oates in the last dozen. Flips for Hull, and it went off of Racine and wide. Along the boards, Yzerman dug it out, but flipped it off Hull. And it's sent all the way back down. 5 seconds left in the period, and the Blues fans will certainly have liked the first 20 minutes. After 20 minutes, the Blues 3, the Red Wings 1. Let's pause for this regional break. You're watching the Stanley Cup playoffs tonight from the arena in St. Louis on Sports Channel.
What comes next, you may ask yourself? How can it change even more, you may wonder? It was only a few years ago, wasn't it, that television was just 4 channels? Today, thanks to cable technology, it's over 40. Technology which is taking us into the future and bringing us tomorrow. Whatever in the world it is, tomorrow will bring.
Bayside Toyota means business. Through Sunday, purchase a new vehicle at Bayside Toyota and only $299 down delivers. Check out 1991 Corollas starting at $8,888 and 91 Camrys starting at only $10,988. Don't delay. We're dealing now. Bayside Toyota at the south end of Lake. That's Bayside Toyota, 382-2000.
Good Chevrolet in downtown Renton is having a red tag sale. And Good Chevrolet GO means business. All 300 vehicles in stock are specially priced. This weekend only, get red tag savings on new Chevrolet cars and trucks, GOs, van conversions, even red tag savings on used vehicles. It takes a dealership this big to bring you savings this great. It starts this Friday, but ends Sunday. So don't miss Good Chevrolet's red tag sale in downtown Renton. Prime Sports Northwest brings you the NHL at its best.
From the first round of the 16-team divisional playoffs through the conference championships, Prime Sports Northwest will take you all the way to the top. The 1991 quest for the Stanley Cup and the championship series itself are on Prime Sports Northwest. Check your local listings for the next Stanley Cup action on Prime Sports Northwest.
Papa in New York, the Blues lead the Red Wings 3-1 at the end of one. Chicago and Minnesota scoreless in the first period. Here's Jim Houston and Gary Green at Chicago Stadium.
I'm surprised Kerry can hear them to give them penalties. Welcome, you have been watching Sports Channel America. This is the Chicago Stadium. In case you hadn't heard. And the Blackhawks and the North Stars are scoreless late in the first period. In a battle of power plays, but they're at even strength now. Mike Hudson centering pass, and Casey made a save in front to the point. Bob McGill had the puck just get outside the blue line. It's offside Chicago.
Even with all the penalties, this has probably been the best first period that we've had in this series. Good action back and forth.
And some good hits, as there have been throughout this series, dished out by both sides. And great chances at both ends. Belfour and Casey, as usual, on top of their game.
Good penalty killing by both teams. Aggressive penalty killing.
Mike Keenan has the last change here. The games in Chicago have been the slowest of the games because Keenan's been very deliberate in his line changes. He hasn't slowed it down as much tonight as he did in games 1 and 2.
I think that's because he wants his team to play with great intensity tonight. Lots of forechecking. So he knows that he has to keep the pace of it going.
Mike Modano tried to pass to Dave Gagne at the side of the net. The Blackhawks come out, and there'll be another penalty. 20 minutes in penalties already in this game. All of them minors, 10 to each team, and now it's Minnesota's turn to go to the power play again. Troy Murray's off for high sticking.
Blackhawk number 19, Troy Murray, 2 minutes for high sticking at 16:05.
They have seen the disallowed goal. The Blackhawks thought they poked the puck into the net. Terry Fraser said, no, the whistle has gone. Let's go back with audio. See if we can hear the whistle. There it was.
A short toot, but nevertheless, it was blown down.
So you can hear the whistle in here.
So the Blackhawks and North Stars are scoreless, but at least they're playing hockey tonight and not fighting. We'll get you caught up on all the scores and take a look at more Stanley Cup playoff action after this timeout on Sports Channel America.
Head & Shoulders Shampoo presents the NHL's greatest hits because you never get a second chance to make a first impression. Clean, rugged hits are one of the NHL's most dramatic features. At 6 feet 4 inches, the New York Islanders' Gary Nyland is one of the league's most imposing defensemen. For enemy skaters, he's always a force to be reckoned with. On Long Island, it's Gary Nyland who delivers some of the NHL's greatest hits.
Listen to my nephew. He's going to be a lawyer like me. He's even going to look like me.
Oh, really? So does that mean on his first big trial day, the jury's going to notice his winning smile?
Yeah.
And his great suit?
Yeah.
Oh, his little flakes.
No, dandruff from me?
Oh, it can happen to perfect people. Here, just use my shampoo.
Head & Shoulders? But you don't have dandruff.
I rest my case.
Head & Shoulders, because you never get a second chance to make a first impression.
Chicago scoreless in the first, and they're going on the power play. Here's Jim Houston and Gary Green.
Tried to go to the net, and he was stopped by Neil Broughton. The Blackhawks scored 20 shorthanded goals to lead the league in the regular season. Neil Broughton. Dave Gagne with a drop pass to Mark Tenorti. Broughton moves back to the point. The pass goes to the end boards. Gagne in front, tried to get it in front, and the puck is hung up on the net, stopping play. 1:19 to go in Troy Murray's high sticking penalty.
Both teams have had a tendency in this series to play behind the net, try to throw that puck out into the crease so often rather than going out to the point. Watch Crawford on the
face-off alignment. He's trying to circle. He's going to do it again, though. He's trying to get a little bit of momentum going here, a little bit of speed, so that when they dump and chase, that he's going to be first man on it. But he didn't win the draw cleanly enough for it to be effective for Providence.
One of the problems in this series with dump-ins for both teams, both Casey and Belfour, are pretty good at getting out behind the net to stop the puck, so it doesn't get around into the corner where the winger can get in after it.
Exactly, and that combined with the wingers having done a pretty good job, if you could call it good, at running the interference at the blue line, it's made it difficult for either team to get real good possession through dumping and chasing.
So the dump-ins have to get a little higher, maybe off the glass.
Players have got to break through that wall, as Prop was trying to do.
Minute to go in this power play. Gagne. Bobby Smith's in front. Trying to stuff it in was Gagne. Loose puck in front after Belfour made the save. Cleared down the ice by Steve Larmer. Gagne's pass intercepted by Larmer. He shoots wide of the net. 45 seconds to go in the penalty to Troy Murray. Dave Gagne to Mike Modano. He dumps the puck in. Bobby Smith and Chelios race after it. Chelios took Smith out of the play. And out comes Dirk Graham with the puck. Had to kick it up. Now he goes for a skate. Ragging the puck, killing some time. Less than half a minute to go in the penalty now. Mike Modano. Fake the shot. Glynn takes the shot. Belfour covers up. The 11th shot on goal for the North Stars is stopped and held by Ed Belfour.
No score in Chicago. More of the Stanley Cup playoffs after this timeout on Sports Channel America.
Who's got the marketing plan? I do. Sales forecast?
Right here.
Presentation boards?
Murphy's got them.
Where's Murphy?
This is the final boarding call for Delta Flight 6.
Maddie Klein knows careers are riding on Delta flights.
Mr. Murphy?
Yes. We better go.
Nobody told me you had a cast.
Nobody knew.
Passengers should now be on board.
Maybe that's why more business people fly Delta than ever before.
Mr. Murphy, you have a nice trip.
Thanks. Already had one.
Delta, we love to fly and it shows.
Terrorists just took over their school. The students have no weapons.
Are you with me or not? Of course we're with you.
And no way out.
We could have everybody killed. It's too late to back out now.
The only chance they've got.
We're really gonna do this? You bet.
Is each other. Toy Soldiers, rated R. Starts Friday, April 26th at a theater near you.
Extra strength Rolaids antacid. Stronger because it has more calcium carbonate. More than any Tums tablet. And salt-free. More calcium carbonate and salt-free. This settles it once and for all.
The action in the Wales Conference Division semifinals reaches fever pitch as the opening round goes to Game 6. Two fearless combatants, one with a chance to advance, while the other faces elimination. See continuing coverage on Sports Channel America tomorrow.
Welcome back to New York. In the game you're watching, the Blues lead the Red Wings by a 3-1 score at the end of one period of play. Brian Propp has a power play goal. Minnesota leads Chicago 1-0 late in period number 1. And coming up and just getting set to start, the Flames and Oilers. Edmonton trying to wrap it up. And later tonight, the Canucks and Kings. More NHL after this.
Who's going to give you the tops in great taste? Dairy Queen. Who's going to give you a treat so cool it's hot? Who's going to give you the original Blizzard flavor treat? With all your favorite fruit and candy flavors, like Butterfinger Candy, Heath Bar, and Oreo. The Dairy Queen Blizzard. It's so right for right now. We treat you right. Dairy Queen.
100 years ago, men started throwing balls into peach baskets. My, how the game has grown. The NBA on TNT. Bigger than life.
Locally sponsored by Miley Investments.
We all grow up. Never fast enough, it seems, for some. And yet altogether too quickly for others. Along the way, learning from whomever is willing to teach us. And it's interesting, isn't it, how today our eyes get opened and our minds get broadened. Where our heroes come from and our dreams begin.
This is a special CNN World.
And as television grows up with us,
Live from the Gulf.
some feel better knowing there's one television company with the know-how to have already brought nearly 200,000 miles of cable to more than 8 million homes, servicing it with over 10,000 people. Because as we head into the future, maybe the secret lies not so much in trying to know what tomorrow will bring, but just in making sure we know someone who does.
Welcome back. Just moments ago at Chicago Stadium, the North Stars on the power play. And the Bryans in on this goal. Brian Glenn to Brian Bellows to Brian Propp. His second goal, he beats Ed Belfour. A power play goal at 7:59. And Minnesota with the lead 1-0 late in the first. Now, later on tonight, game number 5, the Canucks and Kings from the Great Western Forum. That series is tied up at 2 games apiece. More of our Stanley Cup coverage on Sports Channel America after this timeout.
For the first time in history, the compact pickup ranked most trouble-free was also ranked highest in truck customer satisfaction. Mazda, a truck so tough, we guarantee it long enough for a trip around the world. Twice. Mazda trucks, guaranteed tough.
It just feels right.
When sports cream, when arms are sore, when legs ache, when muscles hurt. Why Sports Cream? Massaging Sports Cream in brings fast pain relief. No medicine-y smell, no odor. Why Sports Cream? Because it works.
Over 28 million adults get athlete's foot.
I'm Jim Bird. I had athlete's foot until I used NP27. It has an ingredient recommended by doctors.
Look, NP27 stops the burning, itching of athlete's foot fast.
NP27. Nothing's a better cure for athlete's foot.
Extra strength Rolaids antacid. Stronger because it has more calcium carbonate, more than any Tums tablet. And salt-free. More calcium carbonate and salt-free. This settles it once and for all.
Old Spice, in conjunction with Sports Channel America and The National, presents the Fans' Choice for Most Valuable Player. Here's a chance to cast your vote for MVP. To vote, dial 1-900-896-2333. You must know the team and jersey number of the player you want to vote for. 2 players will be elected from each of the 4 playoff rounds, 1 from each conference. Winners will be featured on Sports Channel America at the end of each round. 1-900-896-2333. It's simple, it's fun, and it's your chance to have your opinion count. Tonight's Stanley Cup playoff game on Sports Channel America is brought to you by Labatt's Blue, the crisp, clean taste of Canada's best beer. Between friends, it's True Blue, Labatt's Blue. By Old Spice deodorant, because prevention is the ultimate form of protection. Count on it. And by the makers of Tums, the sodium-free antacid that's rich in calcium. Tums, for fast, effective heartburn relief.
Back here again at the arena in St. Louis, the Blues will have still 38 seconds remaining on the major penalty power play. And critical to the Red Wings the rest of the game is the fact that they will not have one of their most experienced defensemen in Brad McCrimmon.
And their gunners are gunning, the Blues gunners, that is. Brett Hull scored his 6th goal of the series in the first period. It started deep, really, in the St. Louis zone. Bob Probert had the puck with Adam Oates on him. And, you know, with Adam Oates checking it, you've got to force him to take it away from you. Bob Probert didn't do that. He came up with the puck and dumped it back to his defenseman very quickly, you'll see on this play. When he did, the Blues went the other way, and Hull ended up capitalizing on Steve Chason going down to try and block the shot. But the period belonged to the St. Louis Blues. As a result, they're leading 3-1.
Puck's just been dropped for the start of this second period. 20 seconds still for Detroit to kill. Just wondering if the type of goal that a team scores sometimes takes more air out of you. We'll get to that in a moment, perhaps. Get Bill's thoughts on it. This one tipped loose by Hull, goes right back to him again. Hull controls, but couldn't get a good shot away. Fedorov back to get it. Dumps it back off. Kept alive by Brown to Paul Cavallini. Fires, holds,
just when it looked like Detroit maybe had a chance to pull something positive out of really a bad first period for them by killing off a major penalty. Paul Cavallini has really been under the gun. The people here have booed him in the first 2 games, but man, did he make a smart shot on this play. Steve Chason again, as he did when Brett Hall scored his goal, went down to try to block it. Cavallini had his head up high enough to notice that Chason was down, so he shot it not only over Chason, but over Cheveldae. 4-1 now, St. Louis leads.
Rich Sutter got the stick up high on Probert. Probert has knocked Sutter flying, and again the linesman gets between Probert and one of the Blues. Racine dumps this one along for Doug Crossman, and then Racine took a good lick from Bob Bassett. Puck off of Garpenloff, brought ahead by Probert. Probert rolls it ahead. Garpenloff in front. Puck went off Riengo, and there'll be a penalty coming out. This one will be against the Blues, a hooking call, and so the Red Wings will get a power play. They trail in this one by a big chunk. 3 goals early in the second.
Yeah, we just scored. No, I didn't see Kevin get hit.
Kev, you okay? I wind up in the hospital, and Bob gets the winning goal.
I couldn't let Kevin miss the party.
I was having a pretty good time where I was.
Friends deserve the best.
Friendship. Just being there.
The crisp, clean taste of Canada's best beer, Labatt's Blue.
I have to be flat on my back to get Bob to buy me a blue.
Between friends, it's true blue. Labatt's Blue.
Paul Cavallini scored the St. Louis Blues' 4th goal. Now Detroit gets a chance to draw to within 2. What's the call? Bob Bassett is off. I saw Butcher really hammer Bob Probert to the ice, and as active as Probert has been in dishing it out, he has taken a beating in the games that he has played in this series. Bassett's off for hooking at 18:55 of the second. Here he is going back on the play as Garpenloff tried to get it over to Steve Yzerman. Scott Stevens had already slashed and broken his stick, and Butcher took down Probert, but Bassett's the guy that's off.
Red Wings 3 for 18 in the series on the power play. They get their first crack of the night. Yzerman off the faceoff, scoops it on back for the keep by Crossman, but it's dumped right to Butcher, and Butcher makes them chase. Paul Cavallini's goal, his first of the playoffs, came from Brown at the 42nd mark. Bassett's hook at 1:05. Moving it on as Crossman lays it ahead for the carry by Jimmy Carson. Rolling it back toward Carson was Probert. This one thrown all the way back down again. Minute and a half into the second period. In case you're just joining us, the Red Wings scored first at 2:12, Bobby Dallas. But then Oates and Hull and Oates with 3 St. Louis goals, and then another early here in the second. That tally by Paul Cavallini just after the major to Brad McCrimmon had ended. Again, the Blues make the Red Wings chase it. Cheveldae just punches it across, but it's given up to Oates. Oates with a nice finesse move, and coming along to help is Rich Sutter. Sutter pawed at by Crossman, laid back down, a little keep away perhaps, as Butcher lays it over for Stevens. Into the seats this one goes, and so there'll be a face-off back in the St. Louis end. But the thing that prompted my question was, as we saw that Hull goal again at the start of the period, it was a 1-1 tie. The crowd was into it then, and then Hull just puts on a remarkable move. And I'm just wondering, if a shot that's a deflection from the point maybe goes in, maybe it's not as wilting to Detroit as to being beaten like that for a go-ahead goal.
I think during the regular season, that's a valid point, especially late in a hockey game if you have been working hard and getting chances but not being able to put it away, and you have a goal like that scored on you. But in the playoffs, your focus goes up, your concentration, really your degree of mental toughness really has to elevate. If it doesn't, you're in trouble, but in general, it does. And that's why you see teams that fall behind really never out of it in the playoffs. They continue to come back. They're not as fragile mentally in the playoffs.
We welcome those of you who are watching us tonight on TSN, the Sports Network of Canada. Here it's 4-1 St. Louis early in the second period, and Detroit with 45 seconds still to go on a minor penalty power play. They pass it around, and Chason fires, and that one deflected wide. Racine with it behind, along for Miller. Gets it back for Racine. Open is Chason, and off the stick of Wilson it comes back to him. Chason again. Big shot by Garpenloff, and that tipped wide. Racine dumps it behind. Primo there. Turns it along, and it is Mark Habscheid. Wants to get it to Miller. Checked off, though, by Paul Cavallini. 20 seconds to go on the power play. In deep to play it is Racine. Scales it off the high glass for Miller to the corner. Paul Cavallini tried to spin it by and couldn't. Primo comes in. Dumps it along to Habscheid. Points it on back to Chason. 8 seconds left on the man advantage. Chason to Racine. Across it comes to Habscheid. Flips for Racine. That one ricocheted off him and went behind. Picked up by Miller. Penalty time is up. The Blues have killed it off. Miller holds. Then back to Racine. Rips one in front. That one blocked away. Getting it is Primo. Stick loose. Puck to the back. Chason again. Shovels it off. Someone is without a stick. It's Cavallini. Puck turned to the front. Basson up with it there. And Basson can bring it back out for the Blues. 3.5 gone second period. Blues leading by 3. Brown fidgets for Basson. Lowry is thrown on the play by Cheveldae. If the Red Wings come back in this one, they may be pointing to that play just made by Tim Cheveldae. Here is Hull. Hull flips one across. Cheveldae with an easy play on that. Brushed by Tomlinson. Set up for Hull. Dumped the shot. Cheveldae can't grab on. Backhander by Oates was wide. Drilled back off by the Red Wings. Back down the ice.
It's amazing how much more open ice Brett Hull seems to have in this game than in the first 4 games. He is everywhere, and Adam Oates is able to find him.
15:57 to go in the second. The home team by 3.
When your office is 200,000 acres of rugged woodland, and you train the men who prevent anything from happening to it, you can't depend on just any deodorant. Men count on Old Spice deodorant. It works to prevent odor, to neutralize it before it starts. There's nothing else this effective with the clean classic scent of Old Spice.
Hi, Aunt. Can I stay at the office?
You bet. Old Spice deodorant, because prevention is the ultimate form of protection. Count on it.
Well, the Blues don't have their phaser set on stun here tonight. They want to put away Detroit immediately. Dave Lowry was robbed by Tim Cheveldae. Those are the kinds of saves that we saw really in the first 2 games, and he made a lot more of them in games 3 and 4 in Detroit, but not in the first period. Tim Cheveldae looked human for a change.
Cheveldae out patrolling himself on this one, just flips it back down, and he will be the one guilty of icing the puck as Featherstone touches.
Like I'm trying to see if Dan Quinn is on the bench. I haven't spotted him yet. Oh yeah, there he is. He's on the bench. Apparently took a number of stitches in the chin. I have no idea how many, but remember, Brad McCrimmon left the game in the first period after high sticking Dan Quinn. That led to the major penalty that St. Louis had. So it was a cut in the chin. Dan Quinn is back on the bench, so undoubtedly he will return to play.
Basson in for the face-off. Opposite Fedorov. Kevin Collins from Springfield drops it. Puck poked along. Marois pinching. Brushed aside by Fedorov, and the Blues go back. Teams are at even strength here in the second period of our game tonight. Red Wings have the lead in the series 3-1, but they're trailing in this one 4-1. Featherstone connects back on with Basson. Lays it along, and Cheveldae to get it. Rich Sutter right on him. Puck went off the shrugged shoulder of Tomlinson. Fed back across off Rich Sutter's stick. Fedorov can't get by. Good checking by Basson. So the Red Wings regroup. Puck turned back ahead for the carry back out now by Fedorov. Matched by Adam Oates. Fedorov able to step through. Walks in and fires. And that one may have gone off Riendo, but it skipped to the glass. What a move by Fedorov. Now Miller has Fedorov. Backhander, a riser. Went off the glass. Around it is taken by Miller. Points it away from Zombo, and so the Red Wings have to go back. Again, we welcome those of you who are watching tonight on TSN. Sergei Fedorov had a brilliant opportunity that he made possible himself just a moment ago to get Detroit back to within 2. They're trailing 4-1. Cavallini, a shot turned aside by Cheveldae. This one brushed ahead. Randy McKay up with it. Turns it along for Jimmy Carson. Carson trying to stick handle with just one hand. Potvin able to dump it to the corner. McKay burrows in after it, trying to get away from Cavallini. Turn one in front. Loose puck grabbed off by Riendo. There'll be a penalty coming up. It's going to be against the Blues, and so the Red Wings are going to have another power play chance here. 14:20 to go in the second. 4-1 St. Louis. Let's pause for this regional break. You're watching the Stanley Cup playoffs on Sports Channel.
Bayside Toyota means business. Through Sunday, purchase a new vehicle at Bayside Toyota and only $299 down delivered. Check out 1991 Corollas starting at $8,888 and 91 Camrys starting at only $10,988. Don't delay. We're dealing now. Bayside Toyota at the south end of Lake Union. That's Bayside Toyota, 382-2000.
Back on the power play for the Detroit Red Wings. Randy McKay working behind the net. Paul Cavallini laying the lumber on him. Boy, did he ever slash him. So the Red Wings back on the power.
5:40 the time on that. Second power play of the game for the Red Wings, who use Yzerman, Carson, and Probert up front. Butcher hacks one around the wall. Lowry got a skate on it. Bob Probert after it, stepped into by Wilson. And the Blues able to turn it back to Crossman at the Detroit line. Dump back off again for Yzerman. Flips one through for Carson. Carson a shot! And that one wide, and Chason will have to go back for it. 14 minutes to go in the second period. Blues ahead in the game, 4-1. Still a minute 35 showing on the power play. That minor to Paul Cavallini for slashing. Moving on with this is Jimmy Carson. Dumps one off the boards. Lowry there, chased off by Chason. Probert flipped one in front, and Garth Butcher blocked it away. In deep comes Carson behind for Yzerman for Probert, and a good thrust to the stick there by Ron Wilson. Along the boards, Lowry. Carson knocked it from him. To the corner they go, Yzerman and Butcher. Now Probert comes by, worked over by Scott Stevens. Butcher throws it to the wall, but Crossman is in deep. Long it comes for Carson. Turns it over for Yzerman. Butcher rams him to the boards. Up the boards, they battle for it. Carson dumps it back. Scott Stevens, more room this time. Able to shunt it back to neutral ice, and Crossman takes with 50 seconds to go on the power play. 21 shots for St. Louis, 5 in this period. Detroit with just 7, 2 in this period. Crossman moving ahead, pats it to the corner. Rich Sutter goes in along with Yzerman. Sutter checked off by Yzerman, ran into Probert. Yzerman up with it, but he gave it away to Wilson, and back down it's sent. Chevrolet wants to get things started the other way, turning it up to Racine. Checked right off by Rich Sutter, though, and forced even deeper. Racine drops it off to Primo, who wheels. 22 seconds still to go on the man advantage. Fedorov connecting with Habscheid. Across to Kevin Miller. Shoots one, and that deflected wide by Marois. Primo checked off behind. They point it back again. Kept there by Fedorov, turned over to Racine. Fedorov once more, down to 8 seconds on the man advantage. Racine, one-timer, and it went wide. Rebound, poked loose off the boards by Habscheid, and then jammed back out again by Brindamore. Fresh from the box, Paul Cavallini nearly got into the play, but it's Habscheid to get it.
Looked like he reached out of the penalty box door and stripped the puck off of Brindamore's stick.
Ahead now, Fedorov fires it back around. Riendo crunches the boards to get this one, and a shift change on. Moving ahead. Oh, what a hit. Marois goes down, and crumpled to the ice is Fedorov. And play is stopped.
Boy, there was original minor coming up. Was it to Randy McKay? I think the hit was before that. No, the penalty was even being called before McKay rammed Marois into Fedorov. Let's watch and see if we can figure out how Fedorov got hit. Well, his head and his shoulders were jammed into the boards and into the glass.
We'll pick up the call to Marois and see if Fedorov is any better in just 30 seconds.
Yeah, we just scored. No, I didn't see Kevin get hit.
Kev, you okay? I wind up in the hospital, and Bob gets a winning goal.
I couldn't let Kevin miss the party.
I was having a pretty good time where I was.
Friends deserve the best.
Friendship. Just being there.
The crisp, clean taste of Canada's best beer, Labatt's Blue.
I have to be flat on my back to get Bob to buy me a blue.
Between friends, it's true blue. Labatt's Blue.
Pretty grim stuff here. Fedorov is still down flat. There's a certain amount of question on him for the game tonight because of stick that he caught at the eye in the fourth game at Detroit. He has been Mr. Missed Opportunity for Detroit, too, getting a shorthanded chance here tonight. 3 breakaways in the last game. He hit the crossbar on one, shot wide on another, and a third was saved. He has made so much offense for Detroit, especially when his team has been short. gets an interference minor, and Marois gets a roughing minor. So the penalties will cancel, and that has just been explained to Steve Yzerman and Scott Stevens, the captains, as you see Fedorov on his feet.
I don't think he knows where he is. I thought it might have been a shoulder situation at first. He looks a little groggy. Doesn't look like he's... Well, you can see him grabbing the bridge of his nose, which is an indication that he is trying to get his wits about him. I thought for a moment that he might have aggravated the eye situation. They diagnosed it as a scratched cornea after Scott Stevens raked him in the eye in Game 4, but I just think we're talking about a bell ringing situation here. Fedorov doesn't look like he knows where he is. Boy, he's had a tough series, Mike. I mean, Game 1 he played with food poisoning. Was awesome in Game 1. Game 2 he kind of tailed off, which I expected. When you're sick, very often it takes the body a couple of days to catch up. Then he went up to play in his home building and ended up getting his eyeball scratched, and now I'm not sure that he is with us. So now what does Brian Murray do? I expected him to continue that matchup, not only because he plays so well defensively against Hall & Oates, but because Fedorov's able to generate offensive chances against Hall & Oates. And let's face it, the Red Wings are down by 3. Wonder if we can see from this angle. Now, the penalty was being called for interference right now, before McKay actually started ramming Marois in. Marois looked like he came up with the elbow and squashed Fedorov's head against the glass. Marois looked like he was just trying to protect himself.
Yeah, I think so. I thought at first, before we had a chance to study the first replay, that maybe Marois saw, look, I'm being taken to the boards, I might as well make the best of this situation, but I really don't think so now after having seen the replay.